So you've just booked your wedding photographer. That's one more vendor checked off your list in your long journey of planning your wedding. But now you've just been presented with the option of adding a second photographer to cover your event. Your photographer may even be trying to persuade you towards this option, and now you're getting overwhelmed and you feel a little bit pressured. So pour your wine and grab your pen, because by the end of this video, you will know the answer to this very question. Hello everyone, my name is Bill Rice, and I am a Tampa-based wedding and portrait photographer, and I have owned and operated Bill Rice Photography since 2006. I have photographed over 700 weddings, countless engagement sessions, tons of family portraits, and pretty much everything else under the sun. My focus of this channel is to educate and guide you, future brides and grooms, on how to plan, execute, and enjoy your dream wedding. You can help me grow this channel and my message with a simple like, comment, or follow. That way I can reach others just like you who might be in the planning phase of their own wedding. To give my answer, if you need a second shooter, I'll do it right away, and it's an astounding yes, but only if your budget for wedding photography allows it. It's a no-brainer that having two photographers will give you double the coverage, different angles, and they're able to be in two different places at once during your wedding. And you'll get lots more photos from your wedding in the end. So there it is, my quickest wedding tutorial on YouTube to date. In all seriousness, having two photographers will give you all of the aforementioned benefits. And if you have the extra money to spend on a second photographer, it will be worth the extra investment. That being said, I photograph around 70% of my weddings solo. I may have an assistant from time to time, but they are not there to take photos. They're usually an intern or someone who wants to shadow me to get the feel and rhythm and flow of a wedding. So now we're going to pretend that we are having a wedding consult, you and you've just hired me as your photographer for the day. You see on your contract that you can add a second shooter for X amount of dollars. You now ask me the question, Bill, do you think I need a second shooter? And here's my actual response that I have said to hundreds of my couples over the years in their wedding consults. I will capture your wedding 100% and nail every image. I won't miss a beat. Most of what you are seeing in my portfolio are from single shooter weddings. About 70% of the weddings I cover are just me and my camera. I have the experience to cover everything in your wedding in great detail. My second shooters aren't there to back me up. I'll get the shot when it happens, and I have fail-safes in place to back me up if I have camera problems or card malfunctions. I think you will be completely happy if you just have one photographer at your wedding. But I will list many of the benefits of a second shooter, but only a few reasons you may actually need a second shooter. The only thing my second shooters do without me by their side is the getting ready portion of your wedding. Now, I am always with the ladies getting ready because it involves much more details and direction. My second shooter will be with the guys. The guys are simple. They wait until the last minute to put on their suits and make their way over to the venue or the ceremony location. Heck, I've even had to remind the groom to shave. The ladies are much more particular when it comes to photos. I photograph hair and makeup being done. I hang up all the dresses and photograph them prior to everyone putting them on. I photograph the jewelry, the flowers, the garter, all while mom is trying to hold it together and not cry to keep her makeup from running. Then I'll photograph the girls in all of their robes or PJs for some fun photos before they all get dressed. Then probably some portraits of the bride in the room by some nice window light before we head to the next event. Now, as your lead photographer, I run the show. I'll direct you, and I always ask you to look into my camera for the entire day. My second shooter is getting alternate angles of the exact moments in time throughout your wedding day. For example, your officiant will say, "You may now kiss the bride," and I'll be photographing you from down the middle of the aisle, zoomed in, getting just the two of you, while my second shooter is in a different location, photographing with a wide-angle lens, getting the kiss and everyone clapping and the doves flying above. My second shooters are all wedding professionals that have their own studios, and I can trust them 100%. I even second shoot for these photographers when I am not booked for my own events. They all understand that they are getting what is called B-roll of your wedding. Supplemental, multiple angle, and double the coverage of photos of the exact same event or scenario I am photographing. As I stated earlier, there are very few times when we are not together. The getting ready portions of the bride and groom, and possibly I will ask them to go photograph the details of the cocktail hour and the ballroom before guests are invited in. I am usually tied up with other events that are happening when these areas are all set up and free of people. Now, no one can be two places at once at your wedding, but with two photographers, this becomes possible. Another question you may want to ask yourself is this: do I want or need all of these multiple angles, separate getting ready photos, more candid and group photos of your guests, and literally a ton more dancing photos? If you're the type of person who thinks the more the merrier, adding a second shooter would be a good option. However, if you think you'll be happy with how one person documents your day, hire just your main photographer. My final say on getting a second shooter is this: my average 7 to 8 hour wedding I photograph usually yields between 1,000 and 1,200 photos. That's a lot of pictures. If you add a second shooter, factor in about 30 to 40% more photos to your final collection. That's about 300 to 500 more. My joke here is usually, if you hire a second photographer, you won't need a videographer. Just put all of your photos on a really fast slideshow and you'll have the wedding video as well. Now let's recap. If you want separate getting ready photos, alternate angles, more detail photos of the ballroom, more group shots, more candids, a ton more dancing photos, and basically a flip book of your wedding, get two photographers. If you have the budget, always go with a second shooter. The only reason you really wouldn't care or want a second shooter is due to your photography budget, or if the supplemental photos aren't as important to you as if I were to just get the core must-have shots from your day. A second photographer could be costly because the rate I pay my professional second shooters and the extra post-production time I have on the back end cost me time and money. So here we are at the end of this video, and you now know the benefits of hiring a second photographer and the only few possible things you may be missing if you don't. As I stated in one of my earlier videos, it is best to ask your photographer to see examples of full weddings they have photographed. This gives you better insight as to their style, consistency, and now if you think they've captured the weddings to your expectations with only one photographer. If you haven't seen that video, it's called 26 Questions to Ask Your Wedding Photographer, and I'll link it right now. So now when your photographer asks the dreaded question, have you considered adding a second photographer? You've now got your answer in your back pocket. Thank you for watching.